Hi everyone, it's Mike here from Guitar Prep School again, and it's great to be back with you with another video. I want to say a massive thank you to all my subscribers that are supporting my channel. I really do appreciate it, and thank you. So anyway, today I'm going to try and answer a very common question that I see cropping up from time to time. Should I learn on electric or acoustic? It's a valid point. So I'm going to try and answer that question in a sort of roundabout way. I'm going to talk about some other things that will affect the decision that you might make on that. And a similar question that is all to do with the same sort of thing is, what's the first thing you should learn on guitar? Should I buy an electric? Should I buy an acoustic? Right? It's that question at the very, very beginning of your journey. Now, I would urge you to go and watch this video that's coming up on the screen, the first thing you should learn on the guitar, because at the beginning of that video I talk through the basic fundamental things that you need to get right. It prevents you getting bad habits. It's about holding the guitar in the right position. It's about having the right seating posture, right? And all this ties in with what guitar should you learn on, right? So go ahead and watch that video first before you even think about going out and buying a guitar. Which guitar to buy, electric or acoustic. Alright, so go and watch that video because the two will tie in together. Alright. So one of the first things to consider is, what sort of music do you like? What do you like listening to? Who's your favourite artist? What type of music makes you feel excited and gets you right there? Can you see yourself playing something of that sort of genre? Do you like acoustic-y type songs? You know, the sort of folky, strum-along, sing-along songs? Do you like classical music? Or are you a bit of a rocker like me, and you've got your rock idols there, and you think, oh, how can they play that fast? I'd love to be able to play like that. That's what I was like when I was in my teens. And, what can you see yourself itching and wanting to? You really have a passion for being able to play in a particular way. So that is your personal choice. How you feel will depend on what you end up playing on guitar. Because it's going to be something that you're into. It's going to be something that you enjoy listening to, because you're going to be listening to stuff that you want to learn to play. Now, the second point I'd like to talk about briefly is comparing the two, because electric, acoustic, they've got different elements between them, and again, it depends on what you want to end up playing. But as far as electric has got a lot more features on it that you can do so much more on than an acoustic has. For example, on an electric, you've got pickups. Alright. Some guitars have 2 pickups, some guitars have 3. You've got pickup selector, which gives you different sounds and different tones. You've got volume and tone controls. Alright. Some guitars you've got the floating bridge here with a whammy bar that you can do all sorts of stuff on. You've got much thinner necks on an electric. Generally, an electric is so much easier to play. But is it the right guitar to learn on? You might guess what my answer would be, but everyone's opinion is different on this. No, the downside with learning on an electric is an electric guitar is very sensitive, right? Because it's coming through an amp, it picks up every little sound that you might not want it to pick up. And as a learner, it is more difficult to get clear sounding notes if you're playing open chords on an electric than it is on an acoustic, right? So there's a balance that needs to be weighed there, right? Because the first things you learn as a beginner, go back to that video, is to get clear notes on your chords. And the thing with electrics as well is they vary in weight. So if you're thinking of maybe wanting to join a band, you'll be standing up playing, wearing a strap, right? And you could consider the weight of the guitar. I mean, my Ibanez here is, I wouldn't say it's heavy. It's a comfortable weight, but my Les Paul is really heavy. It's literally about twice the weight of this. All right. So that's a thing to consider if you're someone of my age and maybe you've got a bit of a rocky shoulder or something, then maybe it might not be a good option. With acoustics, again, you'll get different thickness of necks on acoustics. My 12-string acoustic that you've probably seen me using in other videos, the neck is very, very thick on that. The action isn't that clever on it, to be honest. It's very difficult to play that guitar sort of any more than sort of 3 or 4 frets up the neck, right? Now, the action, what I mean about the action is the gap between the string and the fretboard is, I don't know if I hold this up close enough to the camera, maybe, I don't know if you'll be able to see. If I can get that right. You see the gap there between the fretboard and the string is called the action, and the further away the string is from the fretboard, the harder it is, to play up the top end of the neck. Right? Now, acoustic classical guitars, they're pretty good on the action because a lot of classical guitar music is played all up and down the neck, right? And with those guitars, they have nylon strings, whereas ordinary acoustics and electrics have nickel-wound steel strings. The difference in strings is that the nylon strings are softer on your fingers, right? So when you first start to learn guitar, every beginner goes through it. Your fingers start to hurt, they get sore, you start getting indentations on your fingers, and you start to develop calluses, right? From practicing and practicing and practicing, and that's what you want. You want your fingertips to get to harden up, right? This is all covered in that video, the first thing to learn on guitar. A classical acoustic, your fingers will take longer to develop, right? Because the strings are softer, right? Whereas with an acoustic with your normal steel strings, then your fingers will develop quicker, all right? And your finger strength will develop quicker, and your muscles in your hand will develop quicker, and getting clear sounding notes on your open chords will develop quicker than they will on an electric, right? Because you're learning on the hardest way to learn, but it's the right way to learn as far as I'm concerned, right? And I say that because it's the way I learned. And the beauty of starting on an acoustic is that you will want to move on to an electric, right? Guaranteed, right? But once you started learning on an acoustic, and then you move on to an electric, you will find it a breeze, honestly, and you will progress that much quicker because you've learned the hard way on an acoustic, right? And once you go on to an electric, you think, oh my God, there's so much opportunity there to sort of really do different stuff that you can't do on an acoustic. Now, if you're at the stage where you're thinking of buying a guitar, should you buy online or should you go to a physical store? Whatever you do, don't buy online. Bad choice, okay? If you buy something online, all you have is the description there, right? You don't know what the guitar is gonna be like until it arrives at your home. You don't know if it's the right size. You don't know if the action is any good on it. You don't know how it feels. You don't know the thickness of the neck. You don't know anything about that guitar until you get it coming through your front door, right? And I went through a bad experience of buying a guitar online way back, a few years back. and I wanted to buy a 6-string acoustic, and its description said it was a full-size guitar. When it arrived, it was a medium-sized guitar. It was too small for me. The neck was so, it was more like a child's guitar, right? And I couldn't play an open chord on it because the neck was too small. I couldn't get my fingers in between the strings, and I had the hassle of having to send it back. And you know, there are other risks with buying online. You know, your package might not arrive, and they say they sent it, and it's just hassle. The best thing you can do is go to a store near you, right? Now, every guitar store will allow you to try guitars. Any good store will, anyway. And that's what you need to do. Go to a physical store, have a browse around, see what catches your eye, right? And try a few out, right? A good guitar store will normally have a little private room somewhere, and it's all set up. You know, if you're trying out an electric, it'll have an amp set up in there for you, and you can play to your heart's content and really get the feel of the guitar, and you know, you just try it out. Or acoustic, whichever one you go for, acoustic or electric, you can try guitars out, right? You can make sure it's the right size for you. Does it feel good? Is it comfortable when it rests on your lap, right? If you're going for an electric, try it standing up with a strap on as well as sitting down, right? Because you're not going to be standing up with a strap on if you're playing at home or you're practicing, right? But if you're intended on being in a band, right, you're going to be playing standing up. So does it feel comfortable, right? Experiment with it, and really don't be in a rush when you're trying guitars out in a shop. The shop will be fine, right? You can spend all afternoon in there if you wanted to, as long as you're going to buy something, they won't mind, right? Because if you try enough guitars out, you will find one that suits you, and you'll have great fun doing that. You really will, because you can try some really expensive guitars that you know you're not going to buy, but you can have a go on them, alright? That's what I always used to do. So, you know, try the guitars out, and you'll be able to make a good choice then on what you buy. Okay, so how much should you spend on a guitar? Well, you don't need to go overboard, right? You don't need anything expensive, right? But don't go too cheap. I would say around about the $100 mark, if you can budget for $100, right? Round about that sort of area, then acoustic or electric, you'll have a pretty good enough guitar to learn on, which would be fine. You're going to want to upgrade at some point as you progress, you know, as you learn more and you go down the line. But around about $100 is a reasonable price to pay for your first guitar. So, should you learn on electric or acoustic? You've probably guessed that I'm going to say acoustic. Learn on an acoustic, and in the long run, you'll progress quicker. Alright? And you've got the best of both worlds then, because you can play both acoustic-y type songs, and you can go for the good old rock songs if you want to. Don't forget, there's I've done a checklist that you can download if you want it for when you go shopping for a guitar. Alright? I've just pointed out a few little things that you need to be looking for when you're looking at guitars and trying them out in the shop. So there you just click the link below and download the checklist, print it off, and take it to the shop with you. All right, just to give you a little reminder of what to look for when before you buy. All right. So hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I'll see you again next time. Take care for now.